hello. Hi, everybody. I caught the bug. I'm going around the fam. So I ain't reading nothing today. We're not reading anything today. This throat needs a break. So you know what we're doing here. We're going cozy. It's gonna get real cozy. And that's what we're doing today. The only danger in here is the snips. And this here X-Acto knife. Ain't nothing, no chance of pulling too hard, of messing up any rotations. Just me and you and a fat pile of plastic. And trying to figure out what number some of these are. I will. I'm gonna. We'll start with a little guy. And then I do have a big guy here we can do later. Where is, yeah, look at these. Look at this gentleman. This absolute unit. Hollering. And then there's the brain bug next to him. So I've got those guys to do. Absolute unit. Look at him. What is he even? He is a screamer killer. He's a screamer killer because he screams when he kills. And the other guy? What is... he is a neuro-tyrant. Who looks really handsome in one of those cutscenes. I'm not sure what he's from. As Ty, if I'm saying that correctly, thank you for the sub. Much appreciated. But first, I do need to build like a billion little guys. I got all my Vor Ryan's Leapers done. And those are all over here. They're really handsome. I'll show you just how handsome they are. So this is the first guys I ever built, and they were really hard. They were 9th edition, supposedly like the push to fits, and they were just a nightmare. Particularly these little tiny wrists they have were just terrible. So much glue trying to hold this guy and his wrists together when they were supposed to be super easy. And then these guys, they're not glued at all, which is why his arm just fell off. But he was before I knew you were supposed to go in there with a little knife or a little file and knock out the little nubs. And I didn't even have clippers for this. I was just using a Leatherman, a multi-tool. So, yeah, he honestly looks pretty good. But by the time I got to this guy, I knew a bit about what I was doing. I watched a few videos. I was starting to shave off, but it was still just with a little hand knife, a little Leatherman. So now I've got myself a real X-Acto knife and a real clipper, which has been a big help. And look at this. This guy, of course, I dove straight into because he's just a freaking unit. He's just freaking giant. But I am stuck in a painting holding loop because I have a friend with an airbrush. I keep threatening him that I'm going to do it myself. I'm like, you know what, dude? Okay, this weekend I'm going to prime. I'm just going to go. I'm going to buy some hand primer. Maybe I'll even get a rattle can, and I'm just going to do it. And he's like, no, no, I have an airbrush. You'll come over. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do it. Let's schedule it. And then we always cancel. He's busy right now. He's got a lot going on. Everybody's busy, right? But I'm stuck in primer limbo. So at the very least, I can build the little guys so I can play my combat patrol. But here, I think these guys are my favorite so far to build. They're such handsome little divey boys. I think they have like behind the lines deployment or something like that. So you can spawn them in or something like that. Really, the majority of my Warhammer knowledge comes from Total War. So I don't know much. But I know I love Tyranids. I know that much. That is Zerg. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Chris Metzen has streamed himself playing Warhammer. He's 100% a Warhammer fan. And Warhammer started out as some sort of bizarre joke of like, LOL, let's strap a guitar to an orc and see what happens. So, it's all made up. The points don't matter. And maybe it was all Dune originally. I don't think we're really all that concerned with who did what in the end. So this is going to be 31 through 41. Sisters of Battle, I've heard. Well, there's only war is what I hear. I do have a glue. So this is the one everyone told me to get. It was this bad boy, which is apparently a special plastic glue. And the way it's been described to me is that it's made of plastic. Therefore, it works best on plastic. And that's the one like everybody loves. So I think the only thing I'm missing right now is the file to finish, do the little finishing touches. But honestly, I think I'm doing pretty well with the knife. I think that's going well, so I'm not really feeling. Oh, I've got Photoshop open. I don't need that. Let me just close a few things. I was looking at Dragon's Dogma earlier. Very curious about that. Very, very curious. The hand model, yes, of course. Well, it's inevitable for this stream. Yeah, I've heard many an amazing thing about the original Dragon's Dogma. It looks clunky, kind of like old Witcher, the original Witcher. It kind of has that vibe, that old RPG vibe, and looks very grindy in some regards. But honestly, it does look chill AF. Though I did just start up Elden Ring because Kristen was taunting me that I kept talking about Elden Ring on the shows like I had played it. And she was the one who beat it while I watched. So now I'm playing Elden Ring so that I'm not accused of such egregious things, of spreading lies. One of the great 7 of 10s of all time. Yes. Exactly. Okay, what are you? Is this what I'm looking for? 21? 41. But there's definitely a painting obsession. But I think that's because that's where everyone ends up, is like just not painting. So every time you're like, hey, do you like Warhammer? Like, yeah, you got to know about your, what was it called? Your Vortigaunt highlights. There's so many terms, but one of the cool things about it is all the craftspeople are constantly feeding off of each other. So like the Gundam people learn how to do one thing and they share it with the other people who are doing another thing. Is it Zenithal? Yeah, Zenithal highlights. So airbrush people. Is this? Oh, are these called the runners? I mean, all I really have is this bad boy, which was actually just sent to me. One of my friends is apparently a huge Warhammer fan, and I've. There, we back? We're back. A little refresh action is all we needed. Anyway, I was saying, I have a friend who I've known for 10 years, never even mentioned that he plays Warhammer. Probably because of some deep-seated bullying or something like that. And so when I got to Florida, I was like, hey, I've got the Leviathan box set. So I'm getting into that. And he just mailed me 3 sets of this glue, the X-Acto knife, and these clippers. Didn't even ask. Didn't even because he knew my address, obviously, because, he came over to my house. And he's just like, yeah, there you go. But he's also the friend who, sadly, we're all very busy. So he taunts me. If you ever see this, Ben, no, it's only taunting because I really want to join you for painting and I want to see what your airbrush can do. That's really the heart of it. When you get down to it, is I just want to know what your fancy little airbrush can do. And I really, really don't want a rattle can in my evenings. Like the last thing I want to do when I get the kids in bed at 9 p.m. at night is be like, hey, I'm heading outside with a box. Here I go. Oh, he has a huge station. No, this is a pretty dull one right now. I like using the really dull one to get going because it's just nice to kind of pinch it. Because I like doing kind of the whittle thing. It's nice to give it just kind of a little whittle. And then once you're to the refinement, which again, my refinement is probably not your refinement because I don't even have the really fancy stuff, all the files and stuff. Yep, it's from the Leviathan box. So I have a friend named Dan, different from the previous friend, who I call my lore buddy often. He is also someone who helped me get me into Final Fantasy XIV. And then when I got to Shadowbringers, I was like, dude, this is freaking sick. And he's like, yeah, no, I never finished Shadowbringers. I just kind of wandered off. I got busy. What? But he's one of those. I think we all have a friend like that who's like, dude, you gotta get into X. You gotta be a part of it. This is blowing my mind. You got to join me. And then you finally catch up and they're like, yeah, no, I played 30 hours. I'm done. I'm already done with that part. Like eating the crust of a sandwich and never the middle. Yeah. I mean, it's, some people, it's all about the anticipation, It does drive me nuts. It's sad too, of course, because you get left behind, and certainly when you're dadding and busy, you can kind of end up in these situations where you're like, oh, hey, Deep Rock Galactic, like, let's play that together. Let's be sure to do that together. Like, yeah, you know, I'll never get bored of this game. I'll be there, man. When you get there, I'm there. And then they put in 100 hours and you're like, okay, cool, I'm free this week. And they're like, I've just played so much Deep Rock Galactic, you know? I'm tired. The vial, this is the glue. That's the glue there. Maybe he was a Stormblood enjoyer. Could be. Yeah, it could be just like really loved Stormblood. Maybe, you know, I mean, I get it. I was just having a conversation with someone on Twitter about how confusing it can be merging people talking about different things. Where is this arm? Because I got your little gun arm there, number 14. Where's your crazy little arm, dude? I see your leg. Is this your arm? What is this one? Okay, hang on. I gotta go into the zone here for a moment because number 7 here is tripping me out. 5, 7, 9. Okay, here we go. We just got the wrong body. And you see you get so many video recommendations when you start doing this stuff. People just load on you so many guides, and it's really cool. And the lores of Warhammer is really fun to get into. There's just so many guides. You just kind of end up being like, whoa, hold up. I don't need to know how to conveyor belt. I'm not at the conveyor belt stage. I mean, Stormblood's more low-key, right? Like, that's the fun of it, is it's a whole war encompassing the whole world, but it's lower stakes. And it's fun to get to know those characters. It was a fun stream experience for sure. Because you get to have this really small investment with the audience. And no one's really looking for like hard lore rules. They're all just kind of looking at the parts they like best. That's very sad to hear that the people were unfriendly. It is my understanding, you know, I've only played with, I haven't really ever played. I've watched people play, and I am very much like, I will have my own combat patrol when I play. Because I want some ownership over it. It's very much like, hey, do you want to play with my magic deck that I built? No, not really. That's not really what I'm interested in. I want to have my own experience with it, but the kind of vibe I get is it's 2 dungeon masters both agreeing with each other about what the rules are in terms of like, yeah, this is a window here, but you know, let's not count it as a window because that would grant too much of an advantage on the first turn. So this isn't actually a window. Okay, cool. I'm cool with that. Are you okay if I use banners today? Yeah. Bring your banner. I'm all for banner play. Yeah, sick. Let's do it. And then you play. But I know that there's people out there that are like, your Space Marine is the wrong color, therefore I will not respect your build because you technically have Plague Marines because you painted them green. And you're saying that you want to be here playing Chaos Marines? That is not going to fly. You need to rebuild your whole army. But also, I mean, you know, same thing happens in all circles, D&D included. And in some cases, you know, when it comes to D&D, like depending on who you are, who your friends are, what your party is, like sometimes the DM can be a really, really good time. And that hard DM, fighting them that hard and getting what you want out of them can be a good time. I know some of my very first experiences playing D&D were against a DM that went way, way too serious, but the players, we all kind of rallied against him, and it was a heck of a villain to battle. But certainly my real love of Dungeons & Dragons came when my DM Maeve, she was incredible, and she was very story heavy. And that's when I was like, this doesn't have to be a tabletop game. This is, this guy's kind of cute. There's kind of a sense of, and there's like an ownership you get over these guys. Like, this isn't my favorite face, right? Like, look at this guy. He's kind of doofy looking. I'm like, just do the alien face. You know, just steal the xenomorph face. It's fine. We don't care. Maybe I don't like Tyranids. And then you put them together and you're like, oh, you're freaking cute. Look at you go. I mean, you know, of course you got like crazy Cthulhu face. So that guy is massively preferred. You got this badass, but he's a flying prime dude. So of course he's got a sword on his head because he's a badass. You know, it's this guy. This guy's out there doing all he can. Smiling at the enemy with a gun that's a parasite attached to him. Linko, thank you for the super chat. Ooh, crochet baby blanket. Nice. Well, thank you for joining me. Albardo, oh my goodness. Thank you so much. What do I do with just my hands? Thank you. Much appreciated for the 50 gifted memberships there. That was a big drop. Really appreciate it. Now, my original plan, being that Thursdays are usually a pretty heavy Final Fantasy 14 day, is I was going to get on and do all the support duties and record those. And then we were going to talk about like what player or what character had what to say, but I got the family bug that's going around right now. It's a coffee, runny nose, sore throat thing. I don't feel beautiful today. But my hands still work. So it's nice to be here with y'all. Now, where's your leg? Oh, 10. You've... Here we go. Oh, that's a leg. Yeah, look at that. That was a little confusing there. But you got to flip it around. And bam. Yeah, there's the leg. It's also got an arm on it, though. My leg. Sweet Liberty. I got in there last night and played a game. Yeah, the flamethrower's feeling pretty good. And it's a little napalmy, which is what I like about it. It does kind of spray on the ground and get gross. That's what I want. I want to like lay down a whole horrible track that these dudes got to run at me for Helldivers. And then they massively lowered the level on the 3 uses space laser, which, oh man, that was a huge help. That was a absolute help because I love the harder difficulties, but I was reeling with all the Bile Titans running around. And I was definitely like, oh man, I gotta go farm. I don't need to be here. This is too much. I'm a burden to the people around me. But now that they put that big space laser 10 levels earlier, I think. Oh yeah, that feels good. Not a hot fart. I don't know. I saw it like kind of spark when it was raining, which was really cool. Almost like it took longer to start up in the rain. I don't know if that's just, you know, me being like, oh, headcanon, which absolutely happens. But yeah, I don't think I'd go enter any random tournaments. Certainly not for a long time for Warhammer. I would very much just like to play with friends. And this guy, my buddy Ben, he is a phenomenal artist. I won't show off any of his art here on stream from his website and stuff, but he is an absolute talent. In fact, let me get something he made for me one birthday long ago. Let's see if this will work. I have all my lights set up right now. So I might be able to just hold this aloft. So he made this for my birthday. Now at the time, this is a self-portrait from many years ago because we believed I would be bald by 24 because that's how my dad was. But I got some lucky genes in the mix. So he painted me as a necromancer. That's my old ferret bonsai there on my shoulder. And some big old honking dudes. And he painted this for me for one birthday. Because he's a badass like that. So you can imagine if he's painting stuff like this as just a here you go birthday present. You can imagine that his minis are pretty rocking. That his minis are pretty damn cool. And he does everything. He bounces around, you know. He's got Tyranids, he's got a little everything. My other buddy is a Sisters of Battle. Someone was saying earlier the exact wordage. And then he really likes what's the really silly Sigmar or fantasy vampire counts who like wear intestines on their heads as wigs, which is honestly they're honestly delusional and they're incredible. There's a certain like mad energy to Warhammer where just like everything's dark as hell. So you know what? Let's have fun. And I'm enjoying that part a lot. Let me see. I need a 28. These are just little guys. I think this is 28. There we go. The Flesh Eater Court, yes. That's very cool. Though I'm very sad there's no Pleasure Space Marines, whatever they're called. They are wonderful. They need their own faction and, you know, little tanks all of their own to enjoy. He's gonna go live over here with all his little brothers and a couple of Necrons. But we got one done. Yeah, I've heard about the Shelf of Shame. And same thing I was talking about with like this guy's face. Like you just get invested by the time you build them. So And I keep thinking to myself, like every time I talk to my painting buddy, he's like, "What are you gonna do your bases as?" And I'm like, "Oh man, could I do an ice? Like I want ice Tyranids. I want them to be like the Remoras. At least is how I said it in my head. You know, spent years DMing without anybody to correct me. But it's a giant ice centipede in D&D, and it has a fire in its belly. Let me see if I can find it for y'all. And if and when I finally paint them, I want to do them like that here, like this guy. But this isn't quite my favorite. Where's the... It's a little low quality, but here's the 3rd edition. But they're essentially ice centipedes. And then I want to give it a Balrog mouth, because when you strike the Remoras, you take fire damage because it has this furnace in its chest. So like replace, you know, that darkness with just like a roaring fire. And every time you hit him, it's just like, which I think works really well when you kind of get into the lore of what's going on here with like this dude. Because those are smokestacks. Like his digestion is so high. Even he's got a little, marine hand, I think, in one of the, right there. Yeah, he's dragging a little marine hand. His digestion's so high that he has smokestacks shooting out the back. So you make those fire. And I just think that sounds badass. And a lot of people end up showing up with their own headcanon. And in fact, in my buddy's circles, he was saying he'll show up to play at a store and they'll hand each other little booklets, almost like a DM will receive when a character joins their table. And they'll be like, "Hey, here you go. Here's the lore of my combat patrol on Vernacular Ham. Sorry I missed you about 10 minutes ago. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships." So you sort of show up and you're like, "Oh, well, here's the lore of my troop. What's the lore of your troop?" "Well, here's the lore of my troop." And I just think that's freaking adorable. And if you wouldn't be into that, then maybe that's a decent call of like, maybe we shouldn't play together. 5, 6, 8. Okay, 9 here. Soured on the rules. I like the Thousand Suns. They're very, very cool. I like their Primarch's story is really fun. I've heard they've done a lot of good things in 10. Obviously, I have not done much more than watch people play. There's some YouTube channels like 40 and 40 I've watched. I watched a lot of... Is it Wes Hammer? Who does some decent little lore roundups. Yeah, Magnus. Have I watched? Let me take a look at that. Murashi. Have I? I don't know what that is. A project or something? Motion designer reacts? It's like a cartoon? I've watched quite a few cutscenes. In particular, revisiting the Dark Tide cutscene once I knew what was going on. That was super duper fun. Because then I knew what the warp was. And getting to see that again and be like, oh my god, that's the warp. That's badass. When, you know, the first time I saw Dark Tide, I was like, okay, more Vermintide. Sure. Give it to me. I like Vermintide. Yeah, and there's so many. I mean, there's just so many indie games, right? You can find some really cool. Ooh. Look at this little connector. Like this whole... So it's a leg arm combo. And the whole thing is just dropping in there like that. It's basically a DM DMing his own campaign. What is it? Conquest? There's a rule set for leveling up your guys that some people get into. And that is just like a, oh my god, with infinite time. I would be into that. Crusade, yes. Thank you, Luke. Thank you for the link. Yeah, no, that... I do miss DMing. I was talking to people yesterday in the Discord about some board games. No shade at all at the children, because I get it. That's how I got to be the way I am. But you cannot set up a board game in a house with a 4-year-old, because they are just like, what's this? Whoa, 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 whoa. And it's like, hell yeah. He goes through my dice and my minis, and he just eats it up. He just thinks it's amazing, and I would too. First time I saw people playing D&D, I didn't even see him playing D&D. I saw the dice at Hastings, your entertainment superstore, growing up. I just saw the box of, 12 dice sitting there, and I was like, what mythical activity are these? I bought them to put them in a small, like, what's that Brookstone fountain? Sky Mall fountain I had received as a gift. And I just poured them in there. Because I was like, oh shit. No, 4-year-olds don't eat minis. 4-year-olds have decent, they're a whole person. They have pretty decent self-preservation when it comes to eating things. The 1-year-old, you have different rules for the different children. Kids are cats. Yeah. Cats that argue back too. Not that a cat won't tell you what for. And like, this is like the way his little extra leg and arm slotted in there. Like, this is why you kind of fall in love with even the little dudes. You're just like, oh my god, you just came together. You are just adorable. So judging by that, we're gonna give him a little gun. There you go. Yeah, just a little, like, the shapes. It's hypnotizing. You come across them and you just gotta know what they're for. So the very first tabletop game I ever played was actually Fallout at summer camp. A guy had just, had the rules living in his head, and he was like, anyone want to play some Fallout? So we did that one night. We also got really into Magic drafting. And that kind of took over the whole dormitory. Was the weekly Magic draft. We would have a camp counselor go to town and buy us boosters so we could Magic draft on the weekends, because there was kind of like a free period Sunday. And so I came back from camp and I was like, I gotta play D&D. And then, of course, Lord of the Rings happened. The movies, and like, if that wasn't just a perfect storm of, and here's what it looks like, here's what is in your head. And nowadays people make fun of the oh no, an elvish forest, wow, how original. But it was original to us. I've seen the art. Some of those crossover arts were really cool. Like I really liked the Transformers set was actually very well done too for the kind of artifact thing they did. I actually really like that. And I only play online, so oftentimes my life is a shock of finding out people are outraged. Like today I saw on Twitter some people getting really mad about how Hatching Tide and Little Ladies was combined and how the value of the event was only amount and what a scandal this was. And it's like, oh, I guess that's now in my head. I guess. Yeah, I didn't consider being offended by that, but yeah, you know, if that's how we want to do things. You could do that if you really wanted to. Yeah, and then because it's Final Fantasy 16, right, in April? Since when? I know, it's crazy. Look at him. All right, he's also going to live on a 28. So I'd love to find, and I was talking, there's a Warhammer channel. Are you front? No, you're back. In the Discord, and I was talking to everybody yesterday, and they had some suggestions for a paint on primer. So I'm probably gonna end up doing that because I just don't want to go outside, and I would rather sit here with a brush and just like. And I know you have to thin it and kind of get weird, but I really don't want a rattle can. I have never had good success using spray cans for any project. It always goes terribly wrong. Either messy, smelly. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Ree. What do we got here? What's your name? Oh, you're number one. Oh, he's number one. He was number one. Slimy mud hole my home this is. Yeah, no, I'd probably just do brush. Yeah, priming is very important. I would love to skip it, but I've heard the word that your paint just chips off and falls off someday. And that is not what you want when you put work into making it a cool Remoraz fire ice beast. I wouldn't want to do all that work and then just have it fall off. Oh, we're doing this because I'm sick today. This is really what it is. And my reading skills are rarely top notch. But they certainly would be awful today. As like sweat drips down my face. Like wiping my forehead, trying to do bard quests. Everyone's like, what's going on? These bard quests aren't that emotional. I'm just like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, we need to hook him up with another little cool guy pushing leg, which is number 2 here. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying being here. Still trying to lure me into Kingdom Death vernacular, Ham. Here's some money. The same, same buddy. Who also helped push me into Warhammer was just, it was 4 years ago. Just singing the praises of Kingdom Death. And he told me about the lion encounter and something, I mean, this is years ago. He was telling me like something about the heart. and how there was this alternative victory condition, and that just sounded incredible. I love alternate victory conditions, and I always try to include one anytime I do D&D. I just think wailing on hit points is lame. And if you can, you know, give people like Strahd is really good at it. Curse of Strahd has some really nice stuff in there for bypassing certain mechanics or going on additional quests. It's very much an open world, and Strahd is a campaign I would love to run in full someday. Who knows? Maybe I'll run it for the kids when they're older, because that's a time sink for sure, with all the tarot cards and stuff in there. Yep, go insane from screen. Yeah, but it doesn't matter, you know? Same thing as Final Fantasy 14, right? Like, you can say reduction is hilarious. I love reduction as a form of comedy. And it's so true. You can reduce a lot of things to, yeah, I mean, technically that's what happened, but also it was badass. Absolutely badass. I'm not familiar with that, Johan. What is that? Is that also from Kingdom Death, or is that another faction I'm not very aware of? Would I demon an adventure with your kids? Hell yeah. I would love to see what a probably 8-year-old would be about. That's 3rd grade. That's when I really started fathoming rules. And I was willing to sit through the owl talking at me in Ocarina of Time. Because before then, no, wait, was that 6th grade? When the hell was Ocarina of Time? Maybe I wasn't willing to sit and read. But, you know, you need a little bit of patience. Certainly they've got the imagination for it. 4-year-old 100% has the imagination for it. But you do need patience for others. 98. So in 3rd grade, you're... Oh, so I was about 10? Playing Pokemon cards at 5? That's incredible. That's great. Were you doing like sight math and just kind of like down to clown, or how'd you get into Pokemon cards? Oh, nice. I do like the Tau. I think the Tau have a very cool rule or lore set. They're really fun to explore. And I love the look of their like NASA punk kind of stuff, where it all looks like the drawers on the International Space Station. And then it works with their lore too, because they've only been spacefaring for like 3,000 years or something like that. So they're very cool. I really like them. I would love to get Commander Farsight, I think is his name. Maybe that's like my first larger hero kind of unit. If I don't just... Can you even buy Old One-Eye? Because Old One-Eye, I love that idea. I love the idea of a Tyranid that got far enough outside the hive mind control to basically become his own hive mind. Sort of. I'm not sure about the time dilation part. I think they just... I actually don't know why they have been spacefaring for so long, for so short a time, but it works well with their kind of extreme view of the greater good. But you know what Warhammer lore is really good at? Stopping. And just being like, that's enough. And that's as far as we'll go. What is at the center of the fleet for the Tyranids? Who cares? Why does the Emperor... Well, who cares? And there are people who care, of course, and there are books that go deep enough, but they usually start contradicting each other. I love that all the Tau stuff. People be like, oh, finally a good faction in Warhammer. I can't believe they ruined the Tau with all that dark shit. And someone will be like, that's just Imperium propaganda. Don't worry about that. Doesn't have to enter your headcanon. Oh, the little ladies thing? Yeah, it happens. It happens. People will get mad about all kinds of things. Recreational outrage and all that. It can be fun to be mad sometimes. Particularly when you're not terribly invested. And maybe if you don't really care about Little Ladies event, sure. Just let me know you're mad for fun in the first place, though. Wait, is that what it was? I think my sick voice is more just it has a stopping point for how excited it can be. Because I do like being excited. It's a big point of why I do what I do. I think people should be allowed to be excited. And getting to see someone's eyes light up when they talk about something that really matters to them is a very magical thing. Yeah, no, the mount's cute. This little flower hat on. No excitement allowed. Yes, please. Only thing we should be excited for is, I guess, Dragon's Dogma 2. A lot of good games. Helldivers just came out of nowhere. That was awesome. Oh, better sneeze the flower, same flower color that's on its head, just like a little magical puff. Get it out there. Yeah, same, Luke. I thought, after last year being pretty rockin', a lot of things are really rocking too. Like Shangri-La Frontier's really good. There's a lot of good shows. Shogun is really good. And you all know I don't really care for live action stuff normally, but Shogun's really good. I watched something last night because I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I don't want to start something good because I'm not feeling well. I'm going to be falling asleep here. So let me just find something on Crunchyroll to put on to fall asleep to. And I ended up watching like 7 episodes of Honda the Bookseller, the Skeletal Bookseller. That was wacky AF. But also very real. I worked security in a bookstore for a while, and then I worked doing the books for a while. Oh, good call. I should drink some water. I mean, I have a thing for skeletons. I think they're hilarious. We all have one inside of us. Some people's skeletons are deep down inside them and they don't find skeletons funny, but personally I find skeletons hilarious. Same reason I found Garrett hilarious. Just something about his little jaw opening up in shock from Mass Effect. You just gotta love them. You gotta love skeletons. And him shooting blood out of his mouth is good comedy. Oh, you're welcome, Skeleton Sid. Yes, yeah, exactly. Skeleton Warriors, love them. Love them. They're the hardest working of all units. They're just out there doing their best. And sometimes, you know, sometimes they're red and they're actually a pretty serious threat. And sometimes they're blue and they, you know, have slow attacks. Never discount the skeletal warrior. He could always throw down. Zombies, though, zombies are crap. Occasion, you know, if it's a zombie game, yeah, sure, there might be like elites and stuff like that, but
that just as you don't know how you manage to be conscious, how you manage to grow and shape.
What are we doing?
Of yours,
I love old. Just
that doesn't mean to say that you're not doing it. Equally,
I love
you don't
just
know
old speeches.
How the universe shines the stars,
yeah,
constellates the constellation, and galactifies the galaxies. You don't know. But that doesn't mean to say,
like put the moon landing in all my lo-fi.
Aren't doing it in just the same way as you're breathing without knowing how you breathe.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff. Always gotta get excited about a little bit of Carl Sagan, moon landing, any of that kind of stuff. Just squeeze it in. To any sort of songs, I love it. All right, we have completed. But look at these little cuties. I mean, let's bust these guys out. What are they? They are Ripper Swarms. So my understanding is, for the Ripper Swarm, it'll be this guy here. You basically have a point value for your army. And when you get to the end of it, you're going to have a couple points sitting around, so you might as well splash in some heads with tails. And let the Ripper Swarms rip. Rip away, Ripper Swarm. Go get him. So let's get you out of here. What do I put you on? You go on a 40. Super silly, like silly good? Man, how many Ripper Swarms are going on? Is this 40? Oh, so it's just 2 Ripper Swarm? I thought there were 3. Oh, no, there's 4, but there's 2 dudes per. Oh, I see. They connect. Oh, they connect at the base. So there's 4 little dudes. We're making our way through the Leviathan box for the Tyranids. Ultimate goal to eventually build the Combat Patrol. I don't think there's any Ripper Swarms in the Combat Patrol, but you know, kind of like the little scarabs from the Necrons. These guys are just cute. So let's do them while we're here so they're not sitting all lonely, left in their plastic prisons for all time. Go ahead and get them out of there. Let them free. Deep Strike, yes. That's one of the ones where you can like deploy behind enemy lines. So much of my Warhammer knowledge is currently from Total War, which is a damn good time. Them Total War games. I would love a Total War 40K. But I'm sure it's a whole different another licensing issue. Maybe the range doesn't work. They desperately need a move, which is an auto attack command. But I get that that's, you know, maybe a RTS thing, and Warhammer isn't exactly an RTS. Total War, not Warhammer. Oh, that'd be cool, Sleepless One. I'm obsessed with, there's a box of just skulls. And while I love the idea of having my Tyranids be from an ice planet, it also kind of, I'm kind of like, well, I mean, I'm not always going to be on ice. If I'm playing on my buddy's terrain, you know, he might have some buildings that aren't ice, and that's going to be immersion breaking. You know, maybe I'll just glue 100 skulls to the bottom of it. I'll just buy that box of skulls, mass paint them all in a big box, because, you know, I just need some tan. And I'll just glue 500 skulls to the bottom of everything I own. I did not play the Warhammer RTS back in the day. I tried too far after the fact, which can happen sometimes. Particularly without a community or friends kind of pushing you to get to it. You kind of see the old graphics. I heard Steve Blum in there, and I was like, oh, hey, Steve. Oh, the voice acting is that. There's some good voice actors in this. But it was just a little crunchy looking. And I think I tried it right before StarCraft 2 came out. So there was an element of like, just wait for StarCraft 2. Kind of like how sales always jump up on something like Grim Dawn before a Diablo or anything like that. Oh man, you kind of got a weird little. We're gonna have to go a little high on this guy just to get his. This will be one that once I get a file in, we'll probably want to clean up. We're decent into the box. I've got my leapers and my big dude. And I've got, this is the first one I built in there. And I've done the 9th edition starter box, so I've got some Necrons, and I like the idea of Necrons. Tomb Kings are awesome. I love Tomb Kings in Total War, but from what I've been told and from what I've seen, Tomb King models are really old, maybe? So not a lot of people play Tomb Kings. They're also just really hard to paint. John D. Arthur. I'm down for the nomination. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'd take it. Because what's the old, people do that like the first street you lived on and the name of your pet. And so my first name would be Bonsai, which I don't think I'd want my name to be Bonsai. As much as I loved Bonsai, my ferret, he was a chill dude, that Bonsai. He was made of liquid. Absolutely the chillest pet. I would totally do ferrets again as a first pet. But ferrets are also rather short-lived. 6 years. So great first pet, but also, a tough reality of signing yourself up for a very sad day. Necrons are fun. Right now we're working on just some little rippers, just some little chest bursters running along the ground. And this only has one in it. So we're going to have to find his brother. His brother would be 41. So 41B is hiding somewhere. They are small, but some are extremely hyperactive. Some of them are extremely intense. The secret I found to ferrets is get siblings. A single ferret, kind of like a parrot, will demand your life. They are very social creatures. As are most things, and aren't we blessed to be on this planet full of things that want pets? But I find that if you get like a brother and sister, they really even each other out. And one might be crazy and one's chill, and together they really make a person. Get a tortoise. Honestly, do tortoises smell? I think that's an assumption I've always had because of the reptile house, but I actually don't know if it's the tortoise in there that's causing the issue. Telepathic communication. All right, is that a real thing? I hope I don't feel bad for laughing in 30 seconds. No, okay. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Well, they can't talk, right? They would talk through a series of rattles, and you can't quite right. No one can. So role-playing a bunch of silly skeletons, particularly if they start messing up in your D&D game, like they all start falling over each other, they're critical missing, like few things are more joyous than an encounter of skeletons going awry. An earthy smell. Yeah, ferrets, at least mine, you bathe them every week. When I had them, I bathed them every week. And then we had a big, long dryer tube. You know, like what runs from your dryer to your wall. And we'd roll that out, and it was 20 feet long, and they would just run through that with all the joy in their hearts over and over and over again and dry themselves off, and we'd throw a towel over the pile of tubes, and they were never smelly. We bathed them every single week. But I think kind of like hamsters, any sort of caged animal, people often tend to leave alone for a little too long. And they want out. They want to steal your hairbrushes, and they're little raccoons. They'll steal all your crap and go hide it in the weirdest places in the house. So you got to give them places to live. Yeah, I think that's right. Because how else are the skeletons talking to each other? But you never know. In this line of work, there could be the newest article coming out today that you haven't read about skelepathic communication. And you're about to give someone a really hard time accidentally. That's wonderful. The skeletals. You're going on a 40 base. I haven't memorized my base sizes yet, so I keep having to go to the front to do the little measurements, but I'm pretty sure this is a 40. Skeleton, yeah. Skeleton from another world. It was okay. Kind of just fell off it. It wasn't really doing anything unique. You can fall asleep if you want. No offense will be taken. Though that laugh was a little creepy. What are you up to here? Are you gonna do that again? Like techno songs that put police sirens in them. It's like, why? Or even worse, when a techno song starts with an like 80s style alarm clock sound, like a JCPenney's alarm clock. Are you serious? Why would you do this? At what point did you think this was a good decision? Need a huge filling. Well, good on you for getting it done. I hope you have a good dentist. I'm very lucky to have an amazing dentist. I think a lot of them just grew up with the angry dentist that we grew up with and became amazing, cool people. What? Do you not want to go in there? Okay. Yeah. We got a little nub here we need to cut off. Solo level. I haven't started watching Solo Leveling. I read it all. And I liked it well enough. It went a little fast for my taste, and this is 100% my taste. But like it was like 2 missions and he was already shooting lasers out his eyes. That's not true. He has his own power source, and it's very necromantic, which was cool. Also, there's a kind of a weird obsession with dual-wielding daggers in isekais and the like right now. That's not technically an isekai. That would be my goodness, what would you even call it? An invasion of another world? Yeah, but it was it was slow paced, but he got really powerful really fast, and I really do prefer the low levels. Yeah, power fantasy is not a bad way to put it. So I just wanted them to romance his low levels a bit more. Yeah, no, that's why I'm talking around it. Because I don't want to spoil anybody who's enjoying the show only. Same thing happened with Fire Squad. It was like by episode 5, he was already going so fast. I was just like, well, where is this going? The answer was it's going to go so fast that I can't even follow it. And there was nothing really to see in the high level fights because he was going so fast. Fire Force, yeah. Yeah, the art did make solo leveling, and I'd be curious to hear how that worked out in an anime because it flowed so well. It was beautifully paced on your phone because you would, as you like, there were times where I found myself scrolling faster and faster and faster because the action was pretty intense, and as you scrolled you were adding to the action. The way it flowed down your phone was really, really cool. I've been told to read that. I don't think I have. Look at those little guys. Just surging their way across the battlefield. I will be right back. We'll make a little scene in my absence here. We'll get like one little lone dude there. This guy can be like about to jump him. Got a couple little. We'll get our brand new dudes in there. All right, be right back. Hey, welcome, Leeward. Thanks for joining. Free Run. Yeah, I've watched 3 episodes. And I was sold it in the wrong direction. You know, someone was like, oh, every DM needs to see this. You gotta see what it's like to represent elves and their longevity. And the way they described it, I had just finished Jujutsu Kaisen, so my brain was like, sick, everything explodes, let's frickin' go. And it took me like 3 episodes to be like, oh, it's a cozy show. I get it. So I kind of put it away. Yeah, it does do that well, but yeah, it's very much not the point. And so I was kind of watching it being like, well, this isn't that interesting of a premise. They're not doing anything new with it, I guess. What is it? Sad for sad's sake? It doesn't make any sense. So I was overly, yeah. That's the other part too, right? To just go straight from Jujutsu Kaisen to Frieren was whiplash. So I put it away for a time. I haven't returned yet because I don't get a lot of time to watch things. So I usually play a video game, and when I do watch something, it's been Shangri-La Frontier lately. Because that whole arc with the first boss was pretty good. Honestly, for a show with no you die in the game, you die for real stakes, they're doing a fine job. They found a way to make that interesting where I think a lot have failed. It is fun to see. Yeah, just some good old-fashioned fantasy going around. It's always fun when it's in style. Dungeon Meshi. Would I know that as another name? I don't think I've watched it. I don't think I've heard a lot of things about cooking recently in dungeons and delicious. Oh, okay, yes. I've heard great things about that. Yeah, I just finished or just caught up again to Shangri-La Frontier last night. So I am... And then, as I mentioned, I watched Honda Skeleton in a bookstore, or whatever it was called, as my next act. As my bizarre palate cleanser. How's Elden Ring going? It's going. I'm playing as a wizard. I beat the first boss pretty quickly, which was nice. And I'm making my way now through the castle. But I keep running out of mana. But I also need at least 2 health pots, so I probably just need to go farm out in the world and get a couple more pots. So I'm not having to turn around every 5 feet. I don't get the point of delicious in a dungeon. Well, I haven't watched it. But I would assume it's delicious in a dungeon, you know? But I'm not sure. I loved Handyman in Another World. Handyman Saito, I think it was. That really surprised me with how much content there actually was there. And it was very chill. But it also worked back on itself a lot, because when you first start up Handyman, you're like, why do we keep jumping to all these side stories? This is really frustrating. Just focus. For a hot moment, just focus. And then, all these people come together. And then there's just a lot of love, you know? A lot of people just crushing on each other, falling in love, being about love. So it's a fun show. We need an 18... Okay, that's 20. 18 right here. It's a foodie show. I mean, food is important. I don't think you can have a joy of life property without including delicious looking foods. It's a big thing about being alive. I was talking about the other day when we were doing some Endwalker. You got to have food in there. It's a big reason why being organic's awesome. And when we come across in sci-fi robots and stuff, we're like, but why do you live? And they're like, well, exterminate. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I get it, but why do you live? Pub cruise? I haven't heard. I'm familiar with So I Became a Slime, or I didn't actually get too far in that one. I got really far in I'm a Spider, So What? But that also was like, oh, now you're not a spider? That was better as a manga too, because you could actually read all the little stat blocks and see all the talent points that were being picked. In which case, is there a manga Shangri-La Frontier? Because I would probably enjoy actually getting to read a lot of what pops up on screen and what abilities he's comboing and stuff. Yeah, the spider, you know, there was a lot of not great CG in there too. That was kind of flat. But I've only really started being like, CGI is okay. Recently after like Chainsaw Man, I think, did it well. Early seasons of Attack on Titan welted well. Later season, not so much. Oh, okay, that's sufficient. Okay, that's how your arm works. So his whole, this is another one of those leg-arm combination guys. Yeah, at the time I got reincarnated as a slime. Yeah, so I beat a tarnished guy in Elden Ring. And I'm heading my way to, is it Godric the Grafted? I think is my next boss. Because I watched Kristen play through it, so I know the main beats. And of course, that first boss was the voice actor of Fortuno, which was really fun to find out. Because you could kind of hear it in there. I'm like, where have I heard this guy? And recently, I know this man. He wasn't yelling, but it was menacing. He's just standing there menacingly. All the slime knockoffs. Well, yeah, I mean, there was also a million solo leveling knockoffs. And it's led to a real explosion of dagger / necromancer types. Which, you know, I'm not much for dual wielding daggers. It's not really my thing. Oh, is that true, Gabgano? I didn't put that together. I love necromancers, as shown by the earlier portrait I showed off. Like, I think necromancers are awesome. But it was a weird explosion. Welcome, Mr. D. They're falling off? Okay, so it's moving on. I read one about a guy whose power was that he was invincible while he slept. I think that was it. He would log into the other world because time was sleeping rank. I think that's it. He'd log into the other world because time passed at half speed, so he'd do all his sleeping in the other world. And he had some sort of ability, like every time he got hit while sleeping, he would counter. But, you know, like just, I read the first couple chapters and was like, you know what, I'm just satisfied living with the idea that somebody sleeps in a game. That idea, I'm just going to run with that. I'm done. Have you ever thought about running an isekai-based tabletop? That'd be interesting. I can tell you that anytime I or anyone I've ever known has tried the you play yourself in my tabletop and you got trapped in another world, it has always completely failed because people are too careful with themselves and how they conduct a version of themselves. So if you did it, you would not... I would never ask people to play themselves they would play another person and maybe even like lean into the tropes like businessman or journalist, like, you know, kind of treat it gumshoe, like really treat it kind of job based in a real world sense, and then build from there. I think people just like to escape themselves a little too much too. Playing yourself is just, it's never gone well in any time I've ever tried. What I'm actually obsessed with is with building and finding is a mech kaiju tabletop system. But I would want one that can run both the human interaction, much like Evangelion, you know, fighting with a pistol down the hallways versus Sele. And then you get into the robot and you have a fight kind of experience. And I think Lancer might be the best one I've found for that kind of thing. But it's still... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was me talking about Lancer, yeah. There's some really funny ones that are really cute. And they're all called like Big Laser Goes Yes or something like that. And have really quirky names. But there's some cute ideas out there. And there's like a Starfinder and some other more futuristic ones, but that's an interesting thought, Vicar. I don't know. I can't say. I don't think I've read enough, but I do think that we've reached a good turning point where a VR story can be entertaining enough, and we don't all have to die in the game, die for real. Because, yeah, that's fun, but it is a bit exhausting. I think Log Horizon did a good job avoiding that trope. But it is a good trope, too. Infinity the game. Yeah, I mean, I definitely... Robot versus robot fight, it's okay. I really want to play the monsters. I want players to play the robots, because robots are cool. But that can be the players doing that stuff. I want to be the kaijus. And it'd be really, really fun if there was kind of a... Look at him go. Look at that guy. If there was some sort of point system on the back end that tallied destruction, and then you got your XP to do reduced, kind of like what was it? Breach. Into the Breach had sort of a don't destroy the buildings element. That was really good and well crafted. Added a little bit of challenge, and you know, I was very much like that. Oh, well, I can't possibly ever destroy a building. Let me restart every time I accidentally restart, you know, kill a building. And sometimes you got shoved in a corner and you had to destroy a building. I would want that kind of stress on my players to be really thinking about, should I shove its face through a wall? And in that way, you know, Evangelion did some amazing things in its time. Thinking about how the buildings would fold down to the ground while still leaving the abandoned buildings standing around. So we're just building the little dudes right now. These are the Termagants, I think is how you say it. Termagants? Oh, this actually has multiple languages on it. We got Termaganto, I think. Termaganten? That sounds badass. Mobile Suit Baba. Is that a game or a tabletop? A computer game or a tabletop, I should say. Very, very basically. I took 3 years in college. And it was very, very good for dyslexia because Japanese is a phonetic language. Until, of course, you get to the higher levels, as every language has its crazy rules and all that. But the base levels it's very, very phonetic, and it was very dyslexic friendly. It's a PC game. Mobile Suit Baba. Let me look that up. Oh, this looks cute. Oh yes. This is very Into the Breach. Wait, it's Baba? Like Baba is you? What a weird mashup. Baba is you. That is probably the hardest puzzle game I've ever played in my life. What a brutal escalation. What a beautiful escalation, but oh my god, what a brutal one. Hang on while I dig for number 22 legs. Phantom Brigade. I did get my car, yeah. I love that quest. I thought I named my stream after the fact when I published it on YouTube. The most high effort event quest, because it's true. Like, and Hammerhead. I love that Hammerhead song. I listened to that for probably 2-3 hours straight after that stream while I did edits and stuff. What a chill ass song. No, I don't think Garrett has enough MGP yet, but he was working towards it. So I think that'd be very much on him to finish off once he's back in town, if he wants to. Why isn't the Hammer song looking that? Well, you know, these are stream-friendly lo-fi songs, and even though they, you know, declared themselves stream-friendly, I still want to give them a little credit there in the corner for putting together some chill music for us. Welcome to you, Cannon Fodder. We were talking about, yeah, Crimson. We were talking about a kaiju mech tabletop. A great dream I have of running a campaign where the people, a person with a gun, can do a fight to get inside the mech and then fight their way with a kaiju. Because, you know, the whole joy of it would very much be to do like kind of a tempering like storyline, to use the Final Fantasy vernacular. And be like, oh, well, you know, this faction is possessed by or is actually in league with the angels / kaijus. And it's revealed over time, so the people are just as dangerous as the kaiju. The people are the real monsters. Lord Abyss, I apologize for my lack of freedom. I can assure you I will do a 40-minute mission in your honor tonight if it helps us recover from this terrible injustice. I have done, you know, and there's some Marines in here. Not a lot, but there are some. 24. I mean, I have homebrewed many things over the years. Most of them have been terribly broken. I spent a good chunk of time as a D&D content creator. That was a, whoo, oh my goodness. That was a time. There Will Be Dungeons, that podcast did well though in the numbers. That was very, very satisfying back in the day. It was fun getting to talk to Bo on this week's podcast. It was very, that night I was feeling very wistful after getting to speak with him and hang with him for a while. Well, yeah, because in the grimdark future, there's only War Pulse. So, you know, nobody is a hero. And if you've heard that anybody's a hero in Total War, or excuse me, not Total War, Warhammer 40K, that is Imperial propaganda that you are reading. So, you know, don't worry about it. It's Gene Stealers, man. That is haunting stuff. I'm like, oh, that's good, but also really creepy. The idea that the Gene Stealers regain their consciousness the moment before they're digested and back into the soup. And some metal stuff. They're freaky. Yeah, and to your point, D, it's the nice thing about it is you can take it as far as you want to. I mean, obviously, if you go YouTube lore diving, you're gonna find 1,000 videos that all say, "Is this the darkest thing in Warhammer? Why it's so dark?" And they're not like Halloween specials either. Like just, you know, the constant one-upmanship of darkness drama. But also, you know, yay biomass. Hey, it's biomass, you know, like, you know, for the Emperor, whatever, you know, it's fine. And then you get the, like, yeah, exactly. The darkest thing, we can always get darker, right? And so you have this weird sub-genre of, like, people who are aware of that. And so they draw, you know, little anime girls on the shoulders of their space marines. Because it's like, you know what? This is how I'm counteracting this vibe. This is how I choose to keep things jolly. Why no peace hammer? Exactly, you know? In the dark future, there is only politics. Wait, hang on. In the dark future, there is only peace. Yeah, bubblegum pink. Exactly. I've heard a lot about Rogue Trader, and my Steam is actually quite full of people playing Rogue Trader, so it seems there's a crossover with things I like because my friends are playing it. Exactly, Chainsaw. Yes. Yeah. No, don't let... We were talking about, like, witnessing bad Warhammer players earlier. And, like, yeah, no, don't let anybody stop you from painting exactly how you want to. Exactly how you want to do it. A good player would let your Space Marines be any color you wish, regardless of faction. And not just for memes. There's quite a few people who end up playing just Age of Sigmar because they're like, I feel like I can paint them more colorful. It's like, no, just do what you want. Don't let anybody stop you. Yeah, we're gonna hide a happy little Tyranid right there. He's gonna be right there. Just a happy little ripper. In this case, a Termagant. Exactly. Don't let your dreams be memes. Let memes be memes. And send them to your friends. And hopefully they don't use the same meme website as you do, because that's always disappointing. Where is... Cool. This is... Unless you value the painting price. Exactly. Exactly. Then they might be right, because color composition is actually very important. And because these are supposed to be to scale, a lot of what you do with paint is supposed to be fake lighting to like give the illusion of size. It does sound almost exactly like the Persona 5 song. Yes, I feel you there. You almost expect someone to just do, hey, as you click around through all the characters that you're talking to. Kyle is Bob Ross. He was a force. We're making good progress here, so I think next we'll do the big guy. We'll do a big guy next. Happy clicking noises. Exactly. That Space Marine 2 game, I hope it works out well, because in their little demos they showed, their horde tech looks awesome. It's cool to see hordes of enemies not just turning into GIFs in the distance. And I don't understand the technology of it, but even Helldivers as well, just like, hell yeah. Things not being GIFs. Or waiting their turns. That might happen in the Space Marines game. In that demo, it does kind of look like maybe they wait their turns a little bit in order to engage you, but they're doing some cool stuff in there. I think that's next year or maybe even later this year. Yes, I'm aware of that, Mega, that they're just they're parasites. And they gestate all on their own, and they fire haphazardly to the wielder's biochemistry. Which again, yeah, in the grimdark future, there is only grimdark, and that stuff's fun and gross and fun. Lord Abyss, well, thank you for continuing to be a member. Good to see you. It got delayed. Yeah, I never played the first game. I didn't know Warhammer at the time, so I discounted it as like some sort of God of War ripoff, when probably it was more of a Gears of War ripoff, but I never got into Gears. I know it's a very near and dear game for Garrett. When he talks about it, I immediately think of Mech Assault on the original Xbox as my like horde mode game that I would play nonstop to see how far I could get. And then I started thinking about something called, was it Brute Force? Which was a co-op run around thing. Got delayed to September. Yeah, well, with that juggernaut of a DLC for Elden Ring sitting there and Dawn Trail and all of that, like, if you make it past, if you're going to be in the second half of this year, you're going to have some serious competition. I'm expecting that Dragon's Dogma found a nice little sweet spot to live. Vampire Survivor, I'm all for it. I love that game. I can't floss during it, so I don't play it in my evenings as much as when I first got it. But it was good. I've seen some gameplay of the Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, and that actually looks pretty good from what I've seen. We have another little leg combo here. Is that what we need? A leg combo right there for you. Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here with y'all, hanging out today. I'm a little under the weather today, so this is perfect. It's nice to slow down. Good reminder to slow down. Oh, the upgrades didn't feel significant? Yeah, I can see that happening very easily. With a Vampire Survivor, I've played it a lot because I refused to look up what the combos were for my own exploration entertainment value. And now that I know all the combos for the items, I'm like, okay, I beat you. Even though, you know, there's so many little unlockables and extra little things I could still do. I've played D&D with Garrett before, always in one-shots, and he does a great job. He gets into it really well. So he is definitely welcome at my table. You know, I've got friends who I love and are wonderful people, but I would never, ever invite to my D&D table because I just don't have the patience, the mood, the vibes, whatever it may be. But Garrett gets there, and I really appreciate that. He really, really does roleplay, and sometimes it'll like just shock you. I used to play with a guy who he was a top-end World of Warcraft raider. Just didn't seem the type, but you give him 30 minutes of everybody role-playing around him, and he'd drop his voice an octave, and he was that Goliath tank, and he ate it up. And I never thought he would. We need some 24s for this guy's arms. Oh, it seems I've clipped off my number. So we might have to make an assumption here as to what his arms used to be. But if we force on the wrong arm, hey, you know, he's just a unique model. Yeah, no, it's very much about chemistry. You know, like my guest on the podcast this week, Bo Schwartz. I was very sad, but I didn't invite him to Divinity because I already had a wild card lined up. And sometimes you got to do that. So Divinity 2, we were going to play Divinity 2. And I already had a wild card in the group. And I was looking to add a fourth person because I was going to beat that game co-op, damn it. I wanted to see it all through. And I knew that if I put two Bo Schwartz at that table, it was never going to happen. It was never going to be completed. And he went on to, you know, beat it himself. Like, there's nothing stopping him. But same thing happens with the D&D table. Sometimes you find you just have one too many wild cards. You can only have one power gamer sometimes. Somebody who's really going to min-max it. Because you get too many of those at your table, and lo and behold, you have yourself a min-maxed party, and the two min-maxers start min-maxing other people's character sheets, whether you want them to or not. So I'm very, very litigious, maybe is the right word, about who ends up at my table. Oh, Lord Abyss, thank you for the super chat. Another grimdark future tabletop I love is Battletech, aka Mech Warrior. I'm a firm supporter of the House Kurita, aka Draconis Combine. PSK, well, thank you so much. So wait, is Battletech Mech Warrior? Are those the same thing? I've always thought they're different things. They don't have kaijus in them, so I've always kind of, anytime there's been a game, I've been like, I'll pass. Oh, they're the same thing. Oh. Huh. I had no idea. Look at, all right, here. Let's see. How much can this camera do in terms of close-up? This guy's kind of cute. Because he's really, as opposed to like this guy who's more of a run and gun. Yeah, he's like, hey. I shouldn't do voices today. He's like, he's hissing. You know, he's a bit more vocal about his anger. But the way this guy's laid out, he's very much staring down the barrel. He's a sniper type. Not all of them use guns, but these particular ones do. You know, you got your classic kind of bladed warriors who have plenty of arms and stuff, but yeah, your infantry, from what I understand, and this is one person's description of the meta, being all melee is very bad in a world of guns. So your combat patrol, which is like a pre-made army for a shorter game, is pretty well stocked with range weaponry no matter what you pick. Yeah, they're guns. Some of them fire their own insides. Sometimes they're just... they shoot little seeds and stuff. There's more than enough lore videos if you want to hear about millions of ways to horribly die. Yes, this is the combat patrol out of the Leviathan box. And Raz, thank you for the 17-month membership. Can I just say this ASMR stream is so chill and comfy. D&D, Warhammer, and other nerdy stuff, calming voice. Fantastic. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm having a good time being here with y'all. Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about Combat Patrol, because my understanding is in the past, the game was very... let's fight until everybody's dead back and forth, and it meant there were very few builds and very few viable factions. But now that it's more about objectives and holding points, there's a lot of different strategies, and you can be a lot more creative about what you build. So we're gonna have at this big guy, the screamer killer here, and as you can see, he is currently screaming and possibly killing, but I don't see any gore on his personage, so let's get him out. But I am aware that he does scream while he kills. It's what he's into. All the what's a platinum card in Triple Triad? I do enjoy Triple Triad. It's a good like side hobby. I mean, naturally, like it'd be cool if the game was... who has these tiny hands? Does this... I'm tapping off screen here, but somebody has really like just a little tiny hands. It might be the neuro dude. Oh, tournaments and getting enough points. Oh my goodness. I've played a couple people, real people, and they're pretty intense. That's a 6-star. It's pretty intense. I don't know if I'd ever go that deep. I enjoy it as a side hobby. I enjoy kind of questing across the world like Gwent and Witcher 3. But if I were to invest in the game, I think I'd need a little more action? Because I don't want to say depth, because that's not true. A little more bombasticness. I'm the kind of guy who makes overrun green decks. I need to buff everything with a 3/3 in trample for one final attack. I love dropping a 12/12 invincible. Yeah, and we all have a magic type. And whether or not you've played Magic before, there's probably a type in there for you. Right, we need to dig up G19, so we just gotta dig and use our sick eyeballs to find 19. Here's 18, 19. Here we go. Look at this. We got a big honk biomass here. Yeah, I don't remember the little names of all the various player types. And I certainly do have my power complexes. It's why I heal. It's why I enjoy healing so much. And I think it's a beautiful thing that someone even right now might be thinking, power complex, that's why I play red mage. Power complex, that's why I tank. And if I ever ended up in an isekai, I would heal. I love the strategy of it. But when it comes to Magic the Gathering, which is a whole different game, I love green. I like blue bullshit too. I do like just being a complete ass and countering, spending 6 to counter and getting 4 1/1 flyers. Because you got nothing and I got 4 1/1 flyers. Look at me. Look at me go. Would I be an anime healer or an MMO healer? That's a good question. I mean, the weight of the responsibility would weigh heavy on me, you know. I think I might be more focused and less distracted in a real world, but I don't know. Depends if it's a log horizon, there's actively, things hovering in front of me, or if it's a real world. But they don't make a lot of isekais about control players. I think that's why Log Horizon's so special. We need a healer main character. That's not a joke, like a dead serious one. Not, so I accidentally put all my points into healing and now my friends are invincible in another world. Like, an actual, like, serious healer isekai. Oh, yes, Matthew. I am... all my meta goes out the window when the art is good. And there have been plenty of metas I've rejected because I don't like the art. Sacrifice 5 units to summon a 5/5 flying demon? Yeah, that demon looks badass. Let's do it. Let's rip it. Board advantage? No one cares. I don't care. I'm about to have a 5/5 flying demon. Have you seen that art? It's incredible. That's Z. That's the same reason I like Log Horizon. That's what you said. Shangri-La Frontier. I feel like that they actually played enough trash games to understand what they're talking about and why him countering and saying I worked at this for 20 hours is real. There are quite a few of them where you're like, you got the menu, but have you played a video game? Because I don't think you're saying the words, but the heart's not there. I have not seen that particular Josh Drive Hayes, but I am familiar with the man, and it seems like his shorts are going quite well for him. And I'm happy for him because he does some cool essays. I've watched, it was about 2 years ago probably when I watched a lot of him and kind of his video essays while he ran on Warframe. That's kind of the visual for it. We need a G20. And we got some beefy legs. Here we go. Look at. Oh yeah, this guy's gonna have a nice carapace back right there. Look at that. I think that's gonna be his headpiece, perhaps, or maybe going down his back. But that's about to be very handsome. This will be a handsome screamer, killer. Oh yeah, this is a wonderfully gifted giant mouse pad that came with all these scratches on it. I wanted one of the, like a big rollout mouse pad for Christmas one year. So I was like, hey, Kristen, can I have a really big mouse pad? And she's like, sure, I'll pick one out for you. That'll be one of your Christmas gifts. And she picked out this one, and it came in. And at first, I was a little nervous, you get that, like, sometimes you get that gift. You love the person. But you get a gift, and you're like, wait, hang on. Is that a coffee stain? Like, right... Let's right here, you can kind of see where like it sort of turns brownish, and it kind of looks like there's an old ring there, but it's actually pure freaking genius, because anything I do to this looks like it did. And everything, no matter how much I spill on this, no matter how much cereal falls from my mouth, it is a Corsair, yes. It's perfect. And I can't ruin it. Yeah, exactly. Very, very much, this is just part of the pants kind of energy. So, you unbox it and you're like, oh no, is this worn? And then you get to use it and you're like, oh shit, this is love. It's not worn at all. This is just love. Yeah, exactly. Like, Luke, yeah, exactly. Your brain thinks you want the all white one, but you soon realize that was folly and found wanting. Devolving into a pissed off babysitter. That would definitely be the meme, right? Is the healer becomes more but there's a joy and encouragement, and it's very much why I love DMing too, is there's nothing better than sitting back and watching everybody just geek out around you. And that this exists because of you. That, yeah, there's not really much to do, but hit the T button over and over again to do your AoE. But, people are only here because you're here. And the only reason this is happening and everyone's having fun is because you facilitated it. And that's the power trip. On a Gunpla Warhammer street. There is a Warhammer. It's called Kyle's Warhammer Exploration in the forum. As for Gunpla, I don't think there's anything like that right now, but you could always make a forum post. But feel free to join us in that forum in the Discord. Oh, that's cool. Autographed mousepad of Kill la Kill. Hell yeah. I have rewatched that show quite a few times. I really like Kill la Kill. And there's something about that guy and his transform being a ball gag, but he is totally smitten and has a big old crush. That is peak comedy. Oh, can you not rename a forum thread? Oh, no. Yeah. But no, I think you can. I've renamed mine because I had Kyle was building a computer, and then I finished getting my computer, and I renamed it like build a computer so that I wasn't associated with it anymore, because that is deep stuff. I can go in and out of there. Yeah, nudist beach. I can go in and out of computer building, but like the content creator circle of this power source versus that power source is, it's a tool for me. Like cars. I've got a picture now. I own a picture of 3rd trimester pregnant Kristen just 2 weekends ago or so, changing out the alternator, bent over the car, and I'm just like, thank you for doing this, because that is not my forte. I participate in upkeep, but learning how to change a car is a whole different thing. Oh, maybe. Yeah, we'll look at the permissions of that. Yeah, no, Kristen excels at a great many things. She's an expert researcher. And when she puts her mind to something, very much Dark Souls in that way, she will accomplish it. So we just pushing these dudes together? Oh, okay, so we... Yeah. Here's what we're about to execute. It's a pretty simple squeeze G20 in between 21, 19, and then 30. There's a tiny 30 that goes on the foot. Wait, what? I guess there's a very, like, he's got a little stomping heel. Yeah, here you go. Little tiny stomping heel. Nice. Thanks for joining us in that forum, Vicar, excuse me. Yeah, this is one I'm gonna just cut out big because I don't want to mess this up. Ask not the sparrow how the eagle soars. That is cool. That is wise. Sometimes you unleash those things on the children, and they ask you something like, why is red red? And you go, oh, well, because, and you give your best scientific explanation of why red is red, and they go, but why? And then you get 4 levels deep into why red is red. And sometimes you just gotta whip out one of those wisdom bombs. That's not really gonna help, but maybe just possibly you'll look smart out the door. What is going on here? So he just has a... Yeah, it's just a little extra hook. Just a little tiny little stiletto dude hanging on his foot. There we go. Oh, that's slotted right in. Yeah, it's just a little foot hook, like the mighty Velociraptor. Abandoned mining facility. Forgotten research. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, thank you, Bloodsley Von Snugglegore, for the 5 memberships. Much appreciated. I hear great things about Starfinder. Amazing things. So is it a evolution on Pathfinder? Or is it a standalone game? Mechanically not sold on it. Okay. Well, setting can do a lot of lifting. Oh, man. Oh, got a little... You can see just a little too much space in between those. So let's see if I can get this back out. Just trim this down. Pathfinder in the space? Okay, absolutely standalone. I love the action economy of Pathfinder. I've only done 2 one-shots in it. and I really liked it. And if I started up a fresh campaign, I think I would 100% do Pathfinder over. 3rd edition just lives in my head. I don't need books for 3rd edition. There was a hurricane 5 years ago. I was in Florida visiting family, and there was a big hurricane that ripped through and power went out. And I ripped an 11-hour campaign out of my head. It was amazing. That was wonderful. It was about a town who built on top of a cobalt ruin, and there was a sacred tomb down there. And they transformed the sacred tomb, this is 3rd edition, into their sewer system, this town. So the kobolds summoned a poop elemental, to attack the town, or about to. And they got the best ending. It was only the corrupt mayor who ended up being destroyed by the poop elemental. Of course, I didn't call it that, because that would have been silly. But we all knew well what it was. It was a poop elemental. Never happy with 5th edition. I thought 5th edition was a fine... It was so approachable with D&D Beyond is, I think, really... I think I'd have to really think about it like an essay topic and really put in some thought. But I think D&D Beyond did a absurd amount of heavy lifting for 5th edition and allowed it to be very approachable. Otherwise, it may not have actually been all that approachable. There we go. We got that trimmed down. Look at that. Look at that just beautiful, that beautiful chest cavity that's starting to come together. Which isn't a cavity anymore because it's starting to push together. But that xenomorph. That xenomorph chest. Let's not push it too hard together in case it doesn't get. D&D 5e had the first paladin design I liked. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Maybe the first balanced paladin out of the box. Because paladins in 3rd edition were broken AF. But it was up to the DM to wrangle the paladin. But an experienced player would show up with a lot of anti-DM wrangling backdrop. A lot of lore to themselves that would work to stop the DM from wrangling them properly. And so you'd end up in these wrangle wars where the paladin's backstory was arguing with how you were trying to police them. And it could get very complicated. But paladins are meant to be broken. You gotta make sure they're actually being lawfully good. And that is a very hard thing to do. And by restricting yourself to lawful good, it was not so broken. Because that's hard to do. Oh my goodness. Windex. I forgot about that movie. It was big. If anything, it was more of a Conqueror's Bad Fur Day kind of muck style thing, but I forgot about the poop elemental in Dogma. That was a thing. That was a movie that they made. I liked that. I mean, that was an edgy movie, so I liked it in my teens. I was like, ooh, edgy movie. But I also really liked Alan Rickman. So I was a fan. Yeah, I mean, that's Pi. That's very much the oath thing of 5 is I think they accepted that. and they made them more balanced because there were different kinds of oaths. And I mean, you can have as dedicated of a table as you personally want. I think there are, of course, people who want nothing to do with those alternative rule sets where you can have healer warlocks who have some celestial deity that they follow that allows them to be good aligned, or a paladin with no god. I think that's probably one of the most requested things I've ever had at a table, is people being like, I want to do paladin, but I don't want a god. It's like, yes, I get that. You see that as a limiting factor. However, that is my wrangle machine. That is how I am going to enact justice upon you. So no, I will not allow you to be a godless paladin at my table, because the gods, I play gods in very much active role. It's very Olympian in that way. They're a bunch of gossips. They're constantly warring with each other. It's a black and white, the old black and white game from Lionhead Studios. They're constantly trying to get rid of each other's worshippers, always trying to one up one another, trying to climb the ranks. And they are very active and have a lot to say. And they are going to be bothering you, and there's going to be other gods bothering you too, trying to get you to switch over to them, because that's a fine way to gain power points. Oh yeah. We ain't complaining till we get some more wood. Idly. Though, of course, with black and white, I always think of, we need more civic buildings. Because I usually did need more civic buildings. And wood power, Norse power. What a great game. We've got a nice little foot going on there. And I think we need another foot here. Oh no, wait, hang on. First thing we need is another random claw of G22. That we appear to have just some sort of pipe. Oh, what is this? That is number 27, and I have no idea what that's going to be. There's G29. There's another little claw there. I just need a tiny little claw. G22. 24, 27, 5, 22. Oh, I thought that was like a pelvic bone or something. But apparently, what we're looking for is right there. Yeah, I did a lot of online play during COVID, and it was tough saying goodbye. And live is just you can't catch that sparkle in their eyes, because so much of DMing is just looking around as while you're talking and being like, and then there was a skeleton, and you look around the table and you look in everybody's eyes, and then maybe player number 4 over here is like, ooh, what's a skeleton? And you're like, oh, I got you. Here we go. Yeah, you want to know more about that skeleton? Okay, that skeleton's now canon. That's one of the more important skeletons. And online, it's very, very hard to catch the glint in the eye. Yeah, the spiky... It might even be a pelvis. No? Wait, no, I think it is. I think, yeah, I think it's a pelvis. I think it's a kind of carapace codpiece. But kind of nervous to put it. Oh, okay. Okay, so it looks like we're maybe going to put the 23 leg in there. So here's leg 24. 25. Got this leg here. Okay, 25. So let's start building this leg, and then we'll see about that cod piece in a moment. Yeah, you got to get some random tracks about dreams. That's just how it goes. If you're being lo-fi, you got to have some stuff about dreams. Get someone talking about wormholes. Yeah, and you get the voice changers, which is fun when you DM online. You get to do some voice changing stuff. And in that way, there was a great boom of interest, which was good for content creation during that time. I made quite a few episodes about playing online. But of course, I was doing podcasting. And the great boom of content creation was actually in the video department, not audio department, because people weren't driving cars. People had free eyeballs. They were sitting at home with eyeballs available. It would be fun to redo all those DM Gives Inspiration videos with visuals, but no time for that right now. Yeah, and the digital tabletop, they can take so much from you too, like setting up a Roll20 board. Oh my goodness. I really do prefer just to start drawing in front of my players and improvise way more. It is so exhausting to dynamic lighting. If you ever got that far into it, oh man, dynamic lighting was very tiring. I investigated quite a few other ones. I ended up with something called Schmeppy, which Schmeppy is very expensive for what it is. I think it was $5 a month, maybe even 15 a month. It was an expensive doodle box. But it did exactly what I wanted it to. It provided a grid in real time that I could draw on very quickly. And yeah, there are like maybe what's the one on Steam? Not Forgotten Realms. What is it called? Because there's some of them where you can buy the stuff inside the thing. And like if I ever ran Strahd, like I wouldn't mind just purchasing it inside of a program, like laying down a flat screen and we all play it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Scribbling. Yeah. Like arrows, scribbling, multiple colors of pens, and just like be like, see this Tiger Mini? Yeah, it was the same guy from 2 seconds ago who's now dead. This Tiger Mini's this guy. Bam. We did it. I wanted to possibly get on this leg before I got the codpiece on. Let's see if my judgment paid off. Oh, it did. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that coming together. I do think I'm probably gonna squeeze a little glue in there in the future, just to finish that off. Get that chest pressed together just right. Foundry, that was it. Yeah, Foundry. I put quite a bit of work into learning Foundry. But yeah, the Schmeppy was my preferred one. I played around with something like Panda Table or something like that too. But I just really wanted something simple. Also, Roll20 sponsored a Here's the Storm team. So they got a lot of goodwill from me there back in the day. Back in the esports boom. Which I saw Overwatch is about to have a Cowboy Bebop event. That's pretty crazy. All right, so we got our little screamer codpiece on. We got 2 legs. Yeah, no, Foundry would be great to... I'd just love to buy Strahd in there and just, like, have everything preset up. We need number 26. Which looks like it's some sort of headpiece, and it's right here. Owlbear. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that one. That's a good one. Hey, Goodman, welcome to you. Yeah, just working on a screamer killer, right? Yeah, screamer killer. He screams while he kills. But someday I would like to own and build old One Eye. He looks very handsome. It's a nice box. And what I've heard, it's good value. I do not know value. But it looked like a good... I bought the 9th edition starter box. And the Leviathan box seemed like a good no-brainer in order to get into Tyranids for 10th edition. And what are we doing with this crazy thing? So he's kind of tilted. It's just like a... Anyway, we need some instructions. So I guess he's looking kind of sideways at us. Oh, there we go. Oh, he is kind of sideways. Does that go in there? Got a whole neck. Yeah, I see you there. So you kind of live back in... Oh, yeah, you do kind of go back in there. And how do you... There we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's the face hole. But, you know, then, like, you're like, oh, so how does value work? And then you're seeing people be like, oh, man, the set, it has the one piece I need, and I can save $20 if I buy this whole set, and I don't need the other things. And next time I meet up with one of my buddies, apparently I'm going to get a bunch of something because he bought some box set and doesn't want the rest of them. He's like, yeah, you can have them. It was never my intent to own these other things. All right, let's get the mouth out of here. Welcome to your crash. Owning this set was not my intention. A 3D printer? Yeah, that is something I would love to do. It does not gel with how busy I am in the fatherhood department. In fact, I was telling the story the other day. I bought Total War Warhammer 3 and was like, hell yeah, awesome, let's get it. Let's start playing this. I thought to myself, wait a minute. I'm like 5 weeks away from my 3rd kid. You know what? Let's not. But I would love to Patreon around and have some... Oh, that's a sick... Look at that. Look at that guy. I would love to Patreon around and have a bunch of downloadable 3D printers. Oh, I believe so. I have not looked into it because I don't want to even begin any process of even thinking about it. And then you got to buy the little strands of plastic that roll through it that become, you know, it's a good business in terms of, you know, selling something that runs out, because they have, yeah, there's a lot of different models. As long as you're not printing anything too big, you can get something decently sized for yourself. But just like the idea of being like, hey, my players are going to fight this weekend. Let me go to the Patreon. Let me see what one of my favorite creators has available. Ooh, oh wow, they designed a whole a dragon holding a sword. That's sick. Let's rip it. Oh, wait. Hang on. Oh, as much as I love the cavernous void that is his face, apparently he does have a tongue that I need to get in there. So that was that little tiny odd boy we saw earlier. And so yeah, I have lofty retirement goals. Oh, where was it? It was that weird little piece. Got like little armor brain guys. There's one of those little thumbs. Here it is. This thing here. Does he need the tongue? No, but you know, he has it. And what if I end up fighting some meta player who says, oh man, you know, it would be a tie, but technically your mini's incomplete, therefore. Actually, you know, that actually does look good with a little mouth on it. Look at that. Like, he does have a little tongue in there for his screaming business. So, you know what? That was worth it. That was worth the extra effort. Though, you know, maybe someday in the future I'll pop out the tongue and I'll put a little LED light in there so he has that Balrog mouth I was talking about earlier. Tell him to get lost, nerd. Honestly, peak comedy is telling nerds to get lost at a D&D table. That is a good time. Yeah, hang on. I need to charge my Screamer Killer so that his LED is working properly. I don't know if he has a tongue attack. I could get the codex, which the same friend who sent me all this stuff also sent me. Was like, hey, you have a Leviathan box yet? Bam, X-Acto knife, my favorite set of clippers, his favorite type of glue, and he sent me the codex. Had no idea he even played Warhammer. Known him for 10 years. And it's apparently everything he does with his spare time. What a world we live in, where he was keeping that secret. What do we got here? Am I holding this upside down? All right. We need some claws for the hunting and killing. Because we got our tongue. So we need 31 and 33. Here we go. The way it's been described to me is it is a glue made of plastic, so it holds plastic together. It's very, very wet. Not unlike super glue. But of course, your super glues, as made famous in the Lego movie, you know, you apply such a small amount. This comes with a big old pile of it and a brush. So it can feel like you're supposed to use a lot. It actually melts plastic. That's badass. I've heard pretty fast. But honestly, I'm only doing push to fit because I'm thinking maybe at some point when I'm painting, I might go, oh my God, I can't actually reach that thing that I'm trying to paint. Allow me to unhook that arm so I can get at it. Which is probably more of an advanced thought than I actually need to be thinking about, but still, I figure I'll probably paint the arms individually, holding them with a needle nose or something. And then connect them and glue them. I'm glad it worked out for you, Soul. No, not tonight. I was planning to actually stream tonight. I was going to do the support duties for both Mother Crystal and the dungeon, but I ended up picking up the sickness around the family, so I will be laying the hell down later. And this chill stream is my extent of effort. Welcome, Hell. We are making a screamer killer at the moment. We did a gauntlet of activities before we get to kiddo number 3. We went to Disney World. We did Animal Kingdom. We did Magic Kingdom. And then we went to a children's museum this last weekend. And, you know, somewhere in there, as they do, the kids probably lick something they shouldn't. And that's just life. That's just how it goes. You know, that's just the risk you take. But it's gotten all around, and I was last to fall. No, thank you. It's not too bad. There's no fever associated with it, so it's not head related. It's just kind of gross and tough on the throat. Lith, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Just a happy little screamer killer. Delicious in Disney, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can think of at the Children's Museum the particular piece of false lettuce in the kitchen display that may have sealed the deal. But no, we're basically now entering our lockdown phase because I want to be there in the delivery room. So we have done all the family visits. We've done some big Florida things, and now it's time to start taking it easy as third trimester is set in big, and Kristen is understandably getting pretty tired. Now, what are we doing here? Because you got 31. 31's going up here to kind of. I think I need the angle. Let's see. Let's try the other one for a hot moment. Is that where you want to live? Do I need to shave you down a bit? Or am I even doing the right side? Let's see. Let's have at the other arms first then. Because that's 30. How many arms do you have, good sir? My goodness. He's just screaming and killing. All right, 34. Let's get you out. Oh yeah, he is lousy with arms. Absolutely burdened with a horde of arms. Just enough arms to scream and kill. In the grim dark future, there are only arms. And he will need as many as he can get to kill and scream. I mean, I hope he's beefy, you know? There's all sorts of rules about, like, damage reduction, battle shock, which is, there's like some fun madness mechanics that the Tyranids have where you can kind of make people lose their turns essentially by just being scary, which is fun. I do love Darkest Dungeon and all that. Darktide, yeah, I've heard it's come a very long way. I played it on release. The atmosphere, the music was superb. The gameplay was okay. And the weapons and stuff and the talents were not so interesting. And then you had think they just lack some environments compared to Vermintide and Monster Variety, in my opinion. That kind of caused me to be like, not now, but I've heard it's gotten really, really good. I've heard it's had some big advancements. There we go. Okay. And there was essentially a huge boom of Darktide play about 2 weeks ago when, because co-op gamers, you know, they get around, and they were all stoked on Helldivers, couldn't play it, so the Darktide servers had this huge influx of players as they all crowded over there to see what's up. Dropping all the attack dice. Yeah, I mean, that looks fun. I mean, just the DM on DM combat seems like a blast. And from what I hear, most people who play this faction are pretty chill. Not apparently as chill as the orc players, but Tyranid players don't seem to care much if they lose. They're just happy that they swarmed and got some biomass at the end of the day. That's all I hear, right? Yeah, is that the orc players are all very, very chill and don't ever take things too seriously. Though, of course, I think of the Warg Mr. Bond memes. I don't know any Necron players. I thought about being one. That's why I own a set of them. They've got some, like, and I know a lot of Necron players are like, ew, gross, the shackled god beings, but I think they're excellent. I think the sort of energy beings trapped inside is a death rattle ability, for using Hearthstone terminology, is pretty sick. But that, like, it also seems kind of expensive to be a Necron player, because, you know, you got to get the Silent King, and he's like $160.
We brought levity to each other's lives, but there's a lot more to life than that, and I realized that in these last few years. And we just became very different people.
Painting a Void Dragon. That sounds awesome.
It's very strange, but that happens.
So we got this. Goes in. Got the other side lined up, no problem, but this arm's giving me some trouble, and I, of course, want to be cautious, because I've made mistakes before with squeezing too hard. I had to whip out the glue. There we go. Yeah, you know, it's there's some big throwdowns, and you know, they're detailed things. Look at him go, ready to scream his way into your heart. But you know, there's also a large piracy scene, I am told, with 3D printers. But that's why I like Combat Patrol, because it's just it's a sane amount of work. And I think, honestly, I think a huge amount of games would benefit greatly from the hobby. And if you're not familiar with the hobby, it is a term that basically means whatever the hell you want to do with it. Are you here to paint? Are you here to play? Are you here to read books and lore? You know, whatever it is, Welcome to the hobby. And I think like Final Fantasy 14 would benefit a lot if they could kind of find that wording to be like, yes, the hobby. The hobby of Final Fantasy 14. Do you craft? Do you RP? Do you mount farm? Do you raid? Everybody's part of the hobby. And then you add on top of it the grimdark future, where there is only war, and there's just this kind of delightful comedy about it. Oh shoot, we missed a toe. We missed a horrible toe. When did that toe happen? G29 was that toe. G20. Here's our toe. It does market itself. That's true, but they haven't made their way into the verbiage of how we talk about it. And the hobby is just such a genius way to sum it up. Because that's how I described it in college. Someone would be like, hey, you want to come out tonight? I'm like, nah, I'm World of Warcrafting. Well, what's that? Why can't you come? It's like a baseball team. I have signed up for a position in a sports game, and if I don't show and cast Lightwell and Prayer of Mending, people are gonna miss me. Imhotep is honestly one of the funniest names. That is hilarious. That and what is their skin called? Their skin also has a freaking hilarious, great name to it. Technodermis, is it? Necrodermis. Necrodermis. Like, what the hell? Genius. Oh, so you get that vibe of the hobby? Okay. Huh. Maybe it's just that we can't really take it anywhere outside of our computer. There's no Eorzean lounge to go hang out at. Full time, you know, you have your fan fests and stuff where you can get a little bit of that release valve, because it is very much like a practice in like, oh man, there's people, these people are real, and that's so important. For your own mental energies to be like, oh wow, everyone's real. Let's try to get this guy in his base. He lines up, but he's got kind of weird feet. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The very cafe I was kind of talking about, right? With that in tow, you can... maybe things feel more real to you. How about this? Do you lean forward? He's kind of got this like, he's like doing a jolly step. He's got kind of a gait to him. Sort of lackadaisically making his way towards the hunting and killing. 1 foot forward, you know, leaning on a lamppost, flipping a coin. Just a jolly old afternoon of hunter killing. I don't miss raiding 3 nights a week, but I do miss raiding with my friends. Yeah. There was, we collectively lacked the maturity to, and I don't think we as a gaming society knew what burnout was. Nowadays, I'm pretty good at identifying it coming, and I can change my activity. But, you know, I was also in my 20s when I think you learn what burnout is. So there we go. Oh yeah. The leapers I did pretty early because they're so handsome, and I love their little Cthulhu mouths. Yeah, finding out about burnout. Yeah, well, yeah, like that moment when you think to yourself, I'm gonna love this game forever. This will never not be fun. And then that little thing, that little nag in the back of your mind hits you, and you're like, I wish my fellow hell divers knew how to blah, 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 whatever meta thing might be. You're like, oh no. Oh no, I have opinions. Oh, it's starting. That hasn't started with me with hell divers, but I've heard quite a few of my friends starting to talk like that. All right, we made some really good progress. So we got that guy done. This guy. This little dude. This little dude. This little dude. This little dude. Oh, well, we actually did another one of these little dudes. And we even did little babies today. Ah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I mean, this guy looks good in the back, but let's make some room. Because we are playing with toys here. Like, let's not be shy. Let's line them up. See what I've made so far. Get him in there. Here's my little babies. Kind of got. Now, sadly, this guy is landed, but if his wings were open, he could be flying. We got a pretty good set. While we're at it, before I end, let's go one level deeper and head on over to my lighting here. Just as some happy little bugs. Just a happy little invasion. And they're going to collect all that biomass, and that'll be our little secret. So what we got in the red department here? Go give that a little red. Hook that up with some... Ooh. Oh, no. Wait. I said these were ice. There we go. Let's get some ice in here. I said that's what I'm doing in the end, is gonna do like an ice theme with the red on top. There we go. Donate biomass today. Exactly. Yeah, no, that's the plan, is to do a nice thing. Come up with my own planet name. All that kind of thing. Well, thank you all for joining me for this delightful little cozy stream. It was a pleasure hanging out with y'all and talking tabletop games and all that. So I will be off tonight. I will be... Ooh, excuse me. Excuse me, what's your name? Excuse me, Psychophage. Sorry, Psychophage. Yeah, I will be off tonight as I am sick. But hopefully I'll be back tomorrow for the final Whimsy stream of the Whimsy week. No, I haven't painted at all. I've never painted, but I'm looking forward to getting to it and priming and all that very soon. So thank you all for hanging out, and I'll see you all tomorrow for that final Whimsy stream before we... Hopefully it won't advance and I'll feel awful. It seems like this is the end of it, but I will be crashing after this. So you all have a lovely night. Thanks for hanging out, and see you soon.